by taking one small step in your journey is a ripple effect in your community, and it doesn't have to be a professional that impacts the people in your circle. It's you.
Welcome, everyone, to the Driving Vision podcast brought to you by the Zeigler Auto Group. And here with me, Auto Group Director of Talent Development, Mike Van Ryn. Welcome, Mike.
Hey, thanks, Sam.
Be sure to subscribe to the podcast, like it if you do, and leave a comment. At the Driving Vision podcast, we seek out leaders who are driving big vision to the benefit of the broader world. We found just that sort of leaders in a community supporting each other in healthy living. We all know health is important. Most of us know what to do. It's the execution often that prevents us from realizing our true potential. Today's guests support each other in the execution. We go now to Ariah, Lindsey, and Madison to learn how they are driving a healthy community and what we can learn about doing the same. Hey everybody, welcome to the special edition of the Future of Zag Driving Vision podcast. Ariah, we're here on this Saturday morning, which is unusual for us, because we're here to talk about something you've been involved in, and the Zeigler Auto Group has been for years. You, Ariah, with our teams for months as we go into the wrap up the October Step Challenge, athletic mentors, our work and your work around the Facebook group, and just creating this community of people supporting each other for health. So, Ariah, we're going to step a little bit today into your world and talk about health and wellness and a community. And so, Ariah, we've got a couple guests. Would you introduce our guests for us this morning?
Yes, thanks, Sam. So with us today, Madison Zellers and Lindsey Rawert, who have become very good friends of mine. Madison and I went to dental hygiene school together, and then by proxy, I was able to get connected with Lindsey, and both of these girls, can I just say, have become a huge beacon of light, not only for myself, through my health and wellness journey, as well as so many people that they're impacting on a daily basis through Beachbody. So these girls have just been so wonderful to me and have made such a huge impact and become very good mentors and sisters to me. So I'm excited about our conversation today.
So here's what's interesting, Ariah and Madison and Lindsey, and welcome, by the way, to the show. It's awesome to have you both here. It's been fun as part of your journey, Ariah, to see Facebook posts and social media. One of the dangers of social media, though, I feel like sometimes we see the end result, we see the end journey, we make assumptions about how easy it must have been. So I'm excited to have a little bit of a conversation around what that journey has looked like over time. But let's start here. Lindsey and Madison, and whoever wants to take this one, why a focus? You've joined a community that is focused on health. What is it about health that's important to both of you?
So, as Ariah was saying, I have a background in dental hygiene. So my focus first and foremost when I became a dental hygienist was to improve the overall health. As we know, a lot of people have very bad dental health. And so that was my first kind of focus and step into the health community. And health and wellness has always been a big part of my life. I was a 3-sport athlete in high school. So moving my body just was natural to me. And so this Beachbody platform with the health and wellness kind of mixing in with my dental hygiene career just really made sense to me.
Okay, so what 3 sports did you play, Madison?
I played volleyball, basketball, and softball.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as a high school athlete, certainly you graduate high school, you leave those sports, it becomes easier to stay healthy as you grow older and get a family, right?
Right, no.
No?
No. So
it is. Why is that? It's interesting because in high school you do have a community. You've got a team. You've got people who are supporting you, family and others, and you've got a lot of time to dedicate to it. Why is it that as we grow older, we actually lose a lot of those communities and we lose the time and the ability to focus, Madison? Why is it that time becomes more difficult as we grow to find?
So I think for myself and for so many other women that I have talked to along this journey, when we become mothers and, not necessarily speaking for women, but that is mainly the bulk of group that we deal with on a day-to-day basis. We become a mom and all of a sudden, all of those duties is just solely focusing on being a mother. While that's great, we tend to lose that person that we used to be. And so that has been something that's been so amazing, is that I have chosen to take on this community and focus on myself and kind of get that inner athlete back and that person that I used to be before my kiddos, which in turn helps me to be a better mom, be a better sister, a better wife, just show up better in all aspects of my life.
Are there moments of being a mother where you feel like it's an either or? I feel like sometimes in motherhood and parenthood, there's like this perception that you're either going to do the one or the other. And that's a lie, isn't it, Madison?
Yes, yeah, for sure. I mean, trying to figure out how to balance everything, working part-time and being a health and wellness coach and figuring out that little bit of time that I'm carving out for myself has been somewhat of a challenge. But as I start to form that routine and that consistency, it just kind of came easy for me. So,
yeah. Lindsey, what's your, why health for you? And we'll come back to you, Madison, here, but why health for you, Lindsey?
I wanted to give a shout out to Western Michigan University and my Kalamazoo Zeigler peeps because
awesome.
Health for me.
That's our home.
Yeah. I played sports in high school, basketball and soccer, and I did theater too. And those extracurriculars, I think, are what originally was, you went to practice so that you could get better. And that was kind of the mindset that I had. But when I found myself in college, I started running. And for 10 years, I was a runner. And that's all I did. And I pounded pavement hard on marathons. And that's all I knew. But similar to what Madison's talking about, I had my first child at 29 years old. So not only was I going into a new decade, my body was changing. But when I, 6 weeks postpartum, went to go for a run with my son, it felt terrible. And I found myself in a puddle crying. I had decided to stay home. So I had lost a bit of my identity as an educator that I had done for the last 8 years prior to that. And I was also suffering from postpartum depression. So I didn't realize that at the time, but it was mental health that I needed. And it was through a fitness community online that I'd say it saved my life. I was able to overcome postpartum depression, lose 45 pounds, and be more present for my son and my husband once I started coming alive by finding ways that I could exercise at home, do a better job with nutrition, but more than anything, change my mindset about who I was and what I could accomplish through these small, 30-minute sessions, through these small ways that I was looking up new recipes and finding joy in it and doing it right alongside my son at home. So for me, health really was that mental and emotionally overcoming what I thought I couldn't do at that time.
Lindsey and Madison, these are both beautiful stories because they both tell the story of a moment, it seems, where you sort of had a choice. And the choice was to either lean into something that's challenging and make a change and sort of reclaim yourself and be present and vital in a way that you weren't you became not previously, or kind of stay where you were. And you both chose to lean into this. Was that a tough moment, Madison, where it was like, hey, I'm going to choose to do this in a moment? What were some of the thoughts that were going through your head, Madison, in that moment? And then Lindsey, Madison.
Just with you talking about that, Sam, is making me emotional, just hearing that, because as with Lindsey, I was 18 months postpartum with my twin boys, and I had all these things to be extremely grateful for. I have a great family, a great support system, but I was completely lost. So I actually prayed on it, and I just said, if there's something positive in my life that you can show me right now, like, I need it. And that's when Miss Lindsey showed up in my life and just changed the whole trajectory for me. It immediately, I started to get back to that person that I used to be. And I knew that I never wanted to go back to feeling the way that I was feeling before.
How did you and Lindsey connect? How did you find Lindsey in that moment, Madison?
So she and I had mutual friend circles. Her husband was a couple years older than my husband, and they went to the same school. So we had seen each other in passing and maybe chatted here and there. But I stumbled across her social media and just saw her consistency and her passion for life and how happy she was. And I'm like, I need some of that. Like, I need some of that in my life right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Lindsey,
talk to us about that moment where you had to make that choice and you decided to choose the path of health.
Like I said, my identity through college became running. I didn't do it in high school, and I found that runner's high that they talk about. And the choice that I had to make was, am I going to continue with running postpartum, or do I find a new way? And I was invited to join an online community after, again, reading a story of a girlfriend who I didn't know well, but I reached out to her and asked her what she was doing. And she started sharing that with me. And there were these 30-minute workouts at home that I could do. There was a shake that I could drink. And that gave me the confidence to do it alongside her, not only to have a friend, but to have somebody who could kind of guide me through it. And I think a lot of what we're talking about today is just the power of community and having people who get what you're up to, right? Madison could hear in my shares when I shared my story that there was joy there. And I think that that's the biggest component that's connected the three of us, is hearing each other's story and wanting to feel the same way. And then also, we call it borrowed belief. When one of us is feeling down or not wanting to show up for our personal health, we're there to cheer each other on. And it's so important that we share our story and we know where each other is at. And this is a community and a friend group. I can't talk about that with all my other friend groups. They roll their eyes at me when I say, I want to work out on vacation, So that's been huge, is the community for sure.
So, Ariah, let's add in your story, and then let's talk about, I'll come to this question in a second. So, Ariah, tell us a little bit about how you came to health. Why health for you?
Yeah. So Sam and I, we've talked a little bit about this, but just to kind of recap kind of where I came from and why health and wellness really the last 2 years has become such a huge passion of mine, because like Madison, I came from the dental field, and as a dental hygienist, you just naturally have an interest and passion to want to teach people and care for your own health and wellness and teach other people about that. But 2 years ago, I was dealing with, and had actually been diagnosed with, degenerative disc disease. So in my spine, I have my spinal discs will degenerate at a faster rate than just a normal human being. So like I joke around, but I say I've got a spine of an 80-year-old. And at that point, I had been dealing with a lot of herniations in both my cervical and my lumbar spine. So I was dealing with like debilitating that left me not being able to walk or lay down, or dealt with a lot of just those different things over the course of a stint of 1 year specifically. And during that time too, my mental health was challenged on a very regular basis. I was dealing with dizziness just because of my cervical herniations. They were impinging on my spinal cord, so I was having a lot of different issues with that. But I left almost every single day with just the anxiety of the unknown, of like where I was going to go and how I would be able to continue to keep caring for myself. And I had done CrossFit in the past. And when I started to actually get better and I was healing from my herniations, I'm like, I can't do CrossFit anymore. I can't do that like heavy powerlifting stuff anymore. That's not healthy for my spine. And lo and behold, I had started to slowly go back to the gym. And so I got back into going to Planet Fitness, and I was still feeling just lost. I felt like this isn't giving me joy. I'm not excited to go do this. Like I needed something different. So Madison and I, because we went to hygiene school, had been connected on social media for a long time, for the last decade. And I had seen some of the things that she was doing within the community of her program, and just working out and getting more fit and placing an emphasis on her health and wellness. And I was like, I need to know more about this. So diving into that community and being a part of a group of people who were all on the same struggle bus, right? Like this is not easy to do. It's not easy to make the choice to take care of yourself and show up daily to make the changes that you need to in order to just be a better person all around all areas of life. But there's something so powerful in the health aspect of showing up for yourself that really ripple effects into so many other areas of your life. And that was really a part of just the journey and where I came from. And so I dove into that community head first, and I was like, I just wanted more of it. So
Ariah, here's what's beautiful about this, and we appreciate you sharing this story, your story. So we have 3 different backgrounds, and they're not all the same. And Ariah, you warned us. Madison and Lindsey have enormous hearts, and we felt that today. Thank you, Madison and Lindsey and Ariah. And it's so interesting when we talk about that commitment to health and vitality and being engaged and being present and ready to engage with the world. There are a ton of different reasons why that's tough, and it doesn't just automatically happen. Whether it's becoming a mother, whether it's age, whether it's health conditions, we could probably list 20 different things that could pull us away from this commitment. But each one of you at a moment sat face down in the arena. I love Brené Brown and how she talks about this, and had to stand up and had to say, hey, you know what? I choose to engage in a way. I choose to make this commitment, and I choose to join a community where I'm going to get some support. Madison, why is it so tough to stand up in that moment when you feel so alone and things are so challenging and reach out for help? It seems, as we talk about this community, connecting with others is the big antidote somehow to this, right? Is there something to that, Madison? And why is that hard?
Yeah, I think for me and for a lot of other women, we, especially as moms, we're seen as we're supposed to be these really strong individuals, right? We're supposed to be able to be the super mom and do all the things. And there comes a time when you realize you can't do it by yourself anymore. Yeah. I tried, before I had met Lindsey, I tried to jump back into the health and wellness on my own and was like, you know what? I was a 3-sport athlete. I knew how to eat, I knew how to do all the things. Like, I'm going to do this on my own. And I lasted for like maybe a week and a half. So when joining this community and having other women who were in the exact same struggles that I was in and being able to share, we have this really unique thread that we talk in every single day. And we just share all the things in our life together. And so many of these women, there's women all across the world that I talk to, some of them who I still have not met. And I feel so close and so connected to them just because Beachbody has united us all and helped us all to regain that identity and kind of take a stand for our health and wellness. So
Lindsey, so as you listen to Madison's story and Ariah's story, which are very similar, and that's beautiful, Madison, thank you. What advice would you give to someone who's listening to this, who is struggling with this in their head and they're saying, hey, you know what? I'm different because I work a lot. I have a health issue, maybe similar to what Ariah's talked about, right? I'm a parent. I'm a student. I don't have that time to really, I don't know why, but components, it seems to me like at the beginning of the journey, you feel a little bit selfish trying to do this, and that feeling of being selfish isolates us. And it's not until we can find that community and others to kind of open up the lie that's behind that the solution starts to present itself. Lindsey, what advice would you give to someone who's maybe in the beginning of that journey contemplating making it?
There's never going to be the perfect time. And I think for a lot of us, we live in a microwave society where when things don't come naturally, when things don't come conveniently or quickly, our whole society has trained us like there's an easier way, right? There's an easier way. Yeah. But when we start before we're ready, we break through the barriers, the limiting beliefs. We stand up in the arena. I love that you use that analogy because a big part of what all 3 of us and everyone in our community does is we tap into personal growth and personal development. So for me, just starting was also using borrowed belief from the girlfriend I asked about what she was doing and learned more about, from Brené Brown and Mel Robbins and Tony Robbins, reading their books, listening to their podcasts. This podcast, I can't wait to listen to more because when you hear the fire from other people, that's what gives you the borrowed belief. So just start and don't be afraid to ask or lean in for help.
Start before you're ready and borrowed belief. Mm-hmm. Those are 2 beautiful concepts. So Ariah, what would you say? I think there's probably people that listen to this and hear these stories and they say, you know what? That's so easy for Madison. It's so easy for Lindsey. Sports backgrounds, right? They're just kind of returning back to where they should have been. And I think part of the challenge, too, in our world of social media, Lindsey, where it does look so easy out in, we see that endpoint so often and we make snap decisions about where people are. And we say, hey, you know what? It's easier for Ariah because she's already predisposed. She's already built that way. What would you say, Ariah, to somebody that sees the end result and says, you know what? I can't do that. It was easy for him. What would you say?
That's such a good question. And the first thing that comes to my mind is I am a huge believer that everyone has the ability to make the changes that they need to make in order to get where they want to go because they deserve it. Because everyone deserves to have a happy, healthy body that they're proud to be in, that they're confident to be in, that they can continue to move in a way that helps them show up for their families and do
That's
things.
That's awesome. It's almost a human bill of rights, right? We have a right. And everybody comes from their own different place, right, Ariah?
Yeah. And so I think that's such the thing to remember. And everyone gets stuck in this, do I deserve that? Or lack of self-confidence or those limiting beliefs that Lindsey talked about because of the way that we've been brought up or the way that someone has shaped our minds to think that maybe we don't deserve that. And you've got to just crush through those things. You've got to put those things aside and lean into people that also believe in you. And that's what this community has done. And that's the community that I'm trying to create also with inside the Zeigler Auto Group is that regardless of who you are, where you're from, your age group, the limitations that you think you have on yourself, like you're fully capable of diving in and having the rights to a healthy body. So that's something that I say, and I believe so much in being able to just share that with others. So, yeah.
I love that concept of a right. It's almost a human right. And listen, we all come from different places, so we all have different limitations. That's not the same thing. Healthy might look different a little bit for each person. So if I'm looking to start that journey, Lindsey, I love that you talk about this borrowed belief. And I've got to think a little bit about that more. If I need to get supercharged by that idea, I need to get motivated, and I need to start that borrowed belief. You gave a few examples, Brene Brown, Tony Robbins, some others. Where do you go when you need that moment of borrowed light or borrowed belief? Where do you go to get some of that, Lindsey?
Oh man. Well, I go to my faith. I go to the Bible every day now.
Yeah.
That was something I didn't do before I started my health and fitness journey. My health and fitness journey led me to a better spiritual place. So I love that that's the biggest part of my journey now. But like you said, I think it's easy to look and say, they have it all together. They've probably always had it all together. No, just like everything else in life, it ebbs and flows. So for me, it's my faith. And then those authors have become my mentors. And I think something that's coming up for me right now is I remember in college trying to get a teaching job, waiting for this teaching mentor that would help me get the best job. I remember after I became a mother, waiting for all the help of that community surrounding me to help lift me up out of postpartum depression. And I didn't know where to find it. I felt alone very easily. But it's when I started reading other people's stories, listening to other people's stories, and asking about other people's stories that I could do that. So it comes in the form of books, it comes in the form of podcasts, it comes in the form of putting yourself out there and saying, and it's so incredible that Zeigler has this to say, we have this health and wellness community. All I have to do is tap in and maybe look at someone in your office who's right next to you and say, oh, are you doing it too? And just start talking about it. Just start talking about it, I think, is probably one of the most powerful things we can do to grow personally.
You and I have discussed a lot about the idea of being curious and being able to put yourself out there and get out of that state of comfortability that we all stay so stuck in. And that's the place I think that all of your dreams and your goals and your visions go to die, because you've got to learn to be curious about what other people are doing so that you can learn from others. And that's become obviously so apparent inside our organization, which is I've loved to be able to just share that and watch that grow and expand just as much as this other community has become. So it's powerful. It's exciting.
It's interesting you say that. I was at an automotive news event in downtown Chicago Thursday night, I think it was. And I was talking to somebody where we were just kind of lamenting the benefits of social media to create a group like this, right? You definitely gather on media and use photos and you share your stories and it creates momentum. But he actually said something to me that was awesome if he's listening, Ron. Some of our most inspired moments where after we've asked questions, we get answers aren't sitting on social media, aren't trolling through, Facebook and whatnot. They're after a workout sitting there thinking, right? Our mind clears and you kind of have that moment of inspiration. I'm thinking of that, Lindsey, as you're talking about places you go, whether you're reading or you're thinking, meditating. There's something about creating like those moments of silence where we kind of grow and we become better. And I don't know what that is, but it seems like that help from a community, Ariah, which you've helped us create within the Zeigler Auto Group, and then just doing it helps to create more momentum. But Madison, even when we've gone down the road of that journey and we've got momentum, does it mean it's easy then, Madison? Do you ever and your story is beautiful because I heard the emotion in your voice and we can all tell how much it means to you to be on this journey. But now that you've started and you've had success, it's always easy, right?
No, it's not. So, when I got started on my journey, I dove all into this community. I was 100% in. And for the last, let's say, almost 2 years, this has just been such an important part of my life. And I love having the ability to share it with others. Social media is not always the most friendly place. And I was very nervous to share my story. But as I started sharing my story and just forgetting about what everyone else thought, I realized that all these people were reaching out to me, telling me how inspiring I was, how inspiring my story was. And I was like, me, I'm just showing you what I'm doing every single day. But I think now for myself, and I don't know if Ariah shared this with you, but I am about 20 weeks pregnant with our 4th kiddo.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Ariah was holding that as a secret. She was holding the big reveal. Congratulations.
Thank you. So I am getting a little bit back into those struggles of, okay, my body's changing.
Yeah.
Things are not as easy as they used to be, but I still have this amazing community that I tap into every single day. And I'm like, I'm still here. I'm still here to support you. I'm so proud of you. On the days that I feel like moving my body, I do it, but I'm also giving myself grace because I know that this community is here. It will always be here. And then it's so easy to tap back into it.
So talk to us about the conversation in your mind, because I think people within Team Zeigler and our audience probably can relate to this, right? Like you've had this success and there's probably a voice in moments that says, well, hey, look, the world is changing for you. You can't continue to do this because you're pregnant and you've got every good excuse to not engage with the community. Is there sometimes a kind of an urge to run and hide and withdraw? Or what do you do in those moments to stay engaged and to commit to not hiding out?
Well, I think that we're always going to have that negative person on our shoulder that he or she is just going to keep coming back and attacking us every single day. And like Lindsey was saying, tapping into the personal development. But what is really very cool and very unique is all of these women that I have talked about in this community. If they haven't seen my face in a few days, and Lindsey does this, almost every other day for me, if not every day, sends me a message and says, hey, how are you doing? How can I support you?
That's awesome.
How are you feeling? How's your pregnancy going? I mean, I'm not even kidding. I have at least 15 to 20 girls, if not more, throughout the week that will reach out to me and say, we're checking in. How you feeling? How can we support you? So
what does that do for you, Madison, in those moments?
Oh my gosh, it's everything, because I went through all my other pregnancies totally alone. I have sisters, so we would share some of that stuff, but the sisterhood of this community and them just checking on me makes all the difference in this journey, and makes me believe like they're here for me. They want what's best for me, and they're so proud of me. And it's a very very awesome feeling.
So, Ariah, what's the payoff for this journey and this community? And by the way, thank you for everything you've done to create this Facebook group. We've got more people registered into the program than have ever been registered into it. I feel like we're starting to just get active and involved. But, as we talk about what this community means and what it takes to build it, showing up for each other, participating, posting and calling and reaching out, like I think it was one of the carpenters, we've only just begun to live, right? We've only just begun to create this group. And part of creating this group, it seems to me, is the risk of showing up and then no one else being there. And that can be a challenge, right? Because it's like, hey, I put myself out, no one responded. That sucks, right? And so I love Lindsey's idea of borrowed belief. Ariah, you're giving that to the group a little bit. Coach Jess with Athletic Mentors is giving a little bit of that borrowed belief. And there are others among Team Zeigler that say, hey, look, this is important to me. I'm going to show up whether people show up or don't. And then that kind of starts to create momentum. But what would you say, Ariah, to that?
Yeah, it's a really powerful thing too, Sam, because not everyone has the answers and not everyone's an expert, but simply just diving into talking about how we all are on the same path of better health, and we want to be able to pour into that. And, you say, we put stuff into our Facebook chat, or we'll throw stuff out there on a daily basis between me and Coach Jess and a few others. And it's interesting how it has created momentum for others to also want to share.
Ariah, Jim Craig talks about that when we take that risk, we give others permission to do the same, and others cover to do the same, Ariah.
Yeah, that's what's been so, even going back to like motivating to me and accountability for me, is like, okay, cool, I'm able to share some of these things, but hearing back from others is so much more fulfilling for me to be like, okay, this is awesome. This is working. This is the power of this community and what can help change the trajectory of the way we show up for our health and wellness. So it's just been so cool to see that. And I think that's where the power has been, is that it's created momentum for others to have a voice and be able to share those things.
If I can add
that's
something
awesome.
Real quick.
Yeah.
Ariah, just with what you're talking about and with the Zeigler Auto Group, I think a big part of being consistent, and even on those days where you reach out and you feel like there's crickets and nobody is giving you any feedback, there are times in all of our journeys where we have felt that. We have felt like there's nobody listening. There's crickets, nobody. Yeah, you feel alone. But there's one person out there that is listening to your journey. And I've had people reach out even a year later and say, okay, I've been watching you. I need to get in on this. I need to do this with you. So there are some within the Zeigler Auto Group that could just be like, they're watching and they're, plugging in, but they're just not tapping into what you guys have that is so incredible. So
that's the gift Lindsey gave you all those years ago, Madison, right? Lindsey probably had no idea of knowing the ripple in the pond she was creating when you needed that in that moment, in that dark moment. Lindsey was your borrowed light. Lindsey, you've nodded your head a couple times as we've said this. What are you thinking?
I just think it's really cool to think about the ripple effect, and thinking about any community that has health as a priority, has wellness as a priority. I think it's important to remember you don't have to be perfect at something to inspire someone to do something. So me as a mom, I'm not a perfect mom, but I can inspire other moms to do great things with their kids. Me as a health and wellness professional now, I get to inspire people on a whole other level, but I took messy action from the beginning. I did not know what I was doing. I simply just started putting myself out there, inviting people to do this with me. So I think what's coming up for me is thinking about everybody in the Zeigler Auto Group. You're one step to start walking 3 days a week, or packing your lunch instead of going to the vending machine. I have so many nurses who've joined me who are like, I'm eating out of a vending machine every day, Lindsey. And she just started, her coworkers started realizing that she wasn't going there anymore and she was packing her lunch, and that transformed their thinking about eating. And now they're all packing their lunches together. Those little ripple effects that you can make by taking one small step in your journey is a ripple effect in your community. And it doesn't have to be a professional that impacts the people in your circle. It's you.
Yeah.
We all have the power within us, right?
Isn't that fascinating too? So we sometimes borrow belief a little and we benefit from the ripple. And there's probably little in life that's more. How does it make you feel, Lindsey, to know you had the impact on Madison that you did?
Oh my God. I mean, the funniest thing is I think Madison's impacted me more than I have her, right? But that one conversation where I reached out and said, hey, do you want to do this with me? I think changed the trajectory of both of our lives in so many ways. So it means the world to me. Madison and Ariah are now two of my closest friends who I can go to and talk to about things. I have other people close in my life that I've known longer, but they haven't experienced the same things that we have within the past 2 years on our journeys. So it's incredible. It's a great feeling. And it starts simply by getting out of your comfort zone and putting yourself out there into the unknown.
That's awesome. Well, Madison, you're thinking something. What are your thoughts as you hear that? I can see.
Yeah, I'm tears in my eyes. We'll just blame it on the pregnancy hormones, right? No, I just am eternally grateful. And, as within the ripple effect, not only has Lindsey impacted my life, I've helped to impact the lives of others, but it doesn't end there. My husband started working out by my side every single day and changed.
That's awesome.
My sisters, my parents, it just continues on down the line and everyone sees what you're doing. And, the fact that I can help give that gift to other people is just incredible.
Wow. I feel like you guys have all well fed us today. Thank you so much for being on here. And Ariah, as we think about our journey within the auto group and just kind of putting ourselves out there on this crazy Facebook group and supporting each other with pictures and posts, I'm inspired by even the phone calls, right? And reaching out even in moments where it may not make any sense. You don't know the impact you're going to have. And yet I think we've all learned as part of either an auto group team or just human, there's a huge power in being able to impact and influence and benefit other people. The one thought, it's so interesting. We're in a world that is so much more driven by social media and electronics and digital. We're sitting having this conversation via technology. We're not in person, but it's so important to still have these human connections, right? Technology has helped to enhance the connection, but it's made the connection even that much more important. And there's risk in connection, but the risk is well worth taking, Ariah, isn't it?
Yeah, I couldn't agree with that more. And, I think we hit a little bit on this about just the feeling of being uncomfortable and kind of feeling alone or wondering what people will think when you're sharing some of those things. But I look at social media as a positive tool, and there's a lot of jargon out there. There's a lot of crap that I think we had a guest speaker, Damon West, say you are what you eat, and that's not just food. So every single person is on these things daily, right? So I choose to share positivity, and I choose to share and be a light of things that I know have worked well for me, and I know have worked for these two girls. And to be able to share that and be a beacon of light for others is powerful. So yeah, technology can be a challenge, but it's definitely the way of being able to connect with others for sure.
Well, Madison and Lindsey and Ariah, thank you for being on. To Team Zeigler, listening anywhere, wherever you are, engage in the Facebook group, download the AM Wellness Athletic Mentors app, engage with Coach Jess. You've got opportunities to do virtual workouts. We can support each other live, particularly as we wrap up this October Step Challenge and go into the new challenge in November. But to our larger listening audience, through the Jiving Vision podcast, Lindsey shared a bunch of different ways that you can go and get some of that borrowed belief, whether it's podcasts and authors. There's even groups. We didn't want to be an advertisement for Beachbody necessarily here, but what a great community that is to be able to help support each other in a journey. There's a bunch of different, my gosh, I've got a Peloton bike in my garage here or in my basement here that I haven't ridden in months. That's a community, right? There are places that we can go to help and to support each other. And really that first step probably is the most important and sometimes the toughest. Ariah, any closing thoughts?
I have a quick question.
That's such a powerful one. Oh yeah.
Go for it.
Sam, can we hold you accountable to getting back on your bike? You got Ariah, Madison, and Lindsey as your new accountability partners.
Amen. Let's do it.
Here we are.
Do it. So here's the crazy thing in all truthfulness. Like my excuse, and I feel like it's a great excuse, but it is an excuse, is just the travel. So I live 2 time zones away from work, and it makes it a challenge when you're jumping across time zones, but it is absolutely an excuse. And, as you get older, you feel better about the excuse, but the excuse doesn't do much good, does it, Lindsey?
Nope. You can get it done in a hotel room anywhere, Sam. We promise.
That is absolutely true. So yes, Lindsey, Madison, Ariah, yes. And to Team Zeigler, you will see me post. In fact, you know what we're going to do today? Here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a selfie of us together. I'll post this morning, and then I'll do another selfie from the Peloton this morning. So that'll be proof of life.
Yes,
so Lindsey,
Sam.
Thank you for that. Oh, it's been awesome. I love it. This is incredibly motivating. Madison, good luck with the rest of your adventure as you prepare for the birth of a new beautiful baby. And Ariah and Lindsey, as everyone continues to engage in these communities, thanks for inspiring us today. And to Team Zeigler and our listening audience, let's get involved today. Thank you all. Thanks to Ariah, Lindsey, and Madison for driving health in their community. Thank you, our weekly listener, for making us one of the most listened to business podcasts on Apple. And until next week, how are you driving vision today?